Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name's Katie and I upload book-related videos every single Wednesday, and I am so excited because today's video actually, it's not book-related, although I guess kind of, but today I'm going to be reviewing It. You guys know I love horror, and this was probably the biggest horror movie release that I can remember in like the past decade. And just for some background, I've seen the original miniseries probably maybe 10 times. Growing up, my friends and I, it was just our favorite thing to watch together because I guess they were also little weirdos and our parents would let us watch it because in their minds they're like, well, it's PG, why not? However, I'm ashamed to say that although I've read a bunch of Stephen King, I have not read It. It's just over 1,000 pages. It's a lot to commit to. I don't know. Let me know if you think I should, considering I've seen this and the original so many times. So this review is going to have zero spoilers as always, and I'm just going to structure it the same way I do a book review. I'm first going to go over the pros and then the cons. So my number one favorite thing about the movie was the thing that I was really surprised about, and I think a lot of people were surprised about, which was how fucking funny this was. I mean, I knew it would have some lightheartedness just because I was like, oh, it's got that cute kid from Stranger Things. Oh, it's gonna be about friendship. But I was not expecting to have like 4 to 5 like hearty, really loud laughs where like the entire theater was laughing together. Intentionally, mind you. It wasn't like, oh, we're laughing at this horror movie because it's so bad. The writers, directors, and actors just did such a good job of just having some really awesome humor. Most of the humor I would say was from Richie and Eddie, but all of the kids had their moments and it was just wonderful. As a little side note, I'm gonna sidetrack for about 30 seconds. You know a movie that came out recently on Netflix that's not funny or scary, that is a horror comedy? Little Evil. I was so excited for this. I love Adam Scott. I love comedies. I love horror movies. This was, I'm not exaggerating, genuinely one of the worst movies I've seen within the past decade. I sat down and watched it with my parents. We were all really excited. Not one of us laughed once. So anyway, just throwing that out there in case you're thinking of watching it. Please let me know if you watched it. What do you think about it too? Okay, back to the topic at hand, It. My other favorite aspect of the movie was just the writing of these characters and their friendship and just the actors themselves. My favorite kid out of all of them was by far Ben. I thought he was just adorable, and down the line when I'm sure will have It too. I personally hope that Ben and Bev end up together. He was just, I wanted to pinch his cheeks. I also thought he was hilarious in some scenes. He was just by far my favorite. Bill Skarsgård was also so frightening, especially in terms of his mannerisms, and especially at, say, the beginning of the movie when he's just there talking with the Georgie. I thought his conversations and just the way he would move his face was so terrifying, and I will touch on that a little bit more when I get into cons because I just wish that there had been a bit more of that, but I loved it when it did happen. The bully, I don't remember his name, was horrifying, and my mom even said when she left the theater she was much more scared by him than she was by It. She didn't find It very scary, but she thought the bully was terrifying, so the film definitely did a good job of balancing real versus kind of surreal terror. And I would say one of my favorite aspects of the movie, although this is very small, is just the way that the parents aesthetically looked. It was very unnerving and creepy, and my mom made this comment when we were leaving the theater, and she was like, why does, for example, I think it's like Eddie's mom and the pharmacist, why do they look so creepy? And it's never explained. It's not like this is some mystery, but I think it's because when you're little and you have adults you don't like when you're my age, I'm in my mid-20s, a 40-year-old rarely really like looks scary, but when you're 11 and you have an adult you're freaked out by, even if they're just say like 30, 40 years old, they look old and terrifying. And so I think in terms of the makeup, they did a really good job capturing that. Okay, now getting into cons. I only have one con, but it is going to take me a while to kind of describe this, but overall, again, I loved the movie. I just have one kind of decently sized con. Before I get into this, I want to point out that you know how there are always some people who like you'll watch a scary movie with them, or you'll mention like what the scariest movie you've ever seen is. Like say it's The Shining, say it's The Exorcist, and the response will always be, it doesn't matter what you've said, they'll be like, oh, you thought that was scary? I didn't think that was very scary. You could say, I literally saw my grandmother get sawed in half in my living room right in front of me a foot away by a serial killer, and this type of person would be like, oh, you were scared by that? I wasn't that scared by that. The reason I point that out is because I'm not one of those types of people. For example, I think The Descent is terrifying. I have a whole video in case you're curious on my favorite scary movies, but I think The Descent is really scary. I think, is it Insidious or Sinister? The one with Ethan Hawke. Whichever one that is, I think is very creepy. However, when we're talking about 2017 It, I personally just did not find it very scary. Like I said, in terms of movie, I would give it a 9 out of 10. But if I had to rate it just in terms of like a scare factor, 1 being not scary at all and 10 being horrifying, I would probably give it like a 6. And I think this is for 2 reasons. 1, the CGI. It's not that the CGI was bad, but I found personally, and again, what you're scared by is so subjective, but I thought that when Bill Skarsgård was talking to the children and you could see his actual facial expressions and mannerisms, I found that really creepy. When he went into, and again, I won't spoil anything, but when he goes into like his true scary form, I just personally didn't find it very scary because I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fake now, that's not real. So personally, some of the moments in the movie when I think the director wanted you to be more scared than anything else, I just personally didn't find very scary. And the other reason I didn't find it very scary was I think because of the pacing. The movie had a pretty clear formula where one kid would be alone and a really scary thing would happen, and then most of the kids would be together and something funny would happen. And then a different kid would be alone and something really scary would happen to them, and then all the kids would be back together and something really funny would happen. And I think because the tone of the movie shifted so much, I would go from laughing so hard to the director, I could tell, wanting me to be scared, but I was just like, I laughed like literally 15 seconds ago, I'm not gonna scream now. So for me, I don't wish that the humor had been taken out, that's not it. I just wish there had been a little bit more eeriness throughout the movie. For example, and again, not spoiling anything, there's a scene where a kid is sitting looking at something, and if you look in the background, there's someone standing there just very creepily, just very ominously. I would say half the people in the theater noticed, half didn't. And I wish that there had been more moments like that that were just kind of unnerving, where it made you feel uncomfortable. So that way when there's a scary scene where things are jumping out, it would have felt kind of more heightened versus it just being super funny, super scary, super funny, super scary. So that is my review of it. Overall, as a movie, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I just wasn't personally as scared as I wanted to be. Please let me know if you watched it, what your thoughts are on it, if you enjoyed the original miniseries, also if you saw a little evil, and if you also hated it. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.